Hey y'all, it's Steve, Hobo with Wood, and I'm going to go show you today what I do to an image to make it truly unique and my own when a customer has provided me with an image they want to have engraved. This particular image is going to be sunflower, and we're going to be making an earring out of it. And they sent me an image of what they'd like to see on Facebook Messenger, and let's just show you what we're going to start with here. All right, we're going to import his sunflower. Okay, so this is straight off of Facebook Messenger. You can see where he got it from, but I need to get rid of a lot of noise before I even start working with this thing. I like to get it as simple and clean as possible. So the first thing I do is I create me a toolpath that's going to encompass the sunflower, and then select both and apply mask image. Then I tell it to flatten image mask. And now that quick, I've got just the sunflower to work with. Now, I want to trace that, but before I do, I want to get as good as image as possible. With this black and white, you'd think, okay, well, that's about as good as you get. But you know what? I crank the contrast all the way up. And there we go. And I'll enhance the radius just a little bit. All right. And now right click and trace the image. And I want to delete the image after trace. Okay. So now that's still on a toolpath, so we'll select it all. And we're going to do a lot with this design. And in order to do that, you really need to stay in a line mode, because you start putting her into a fill mode, we can see the image really well and what it's going to look like, but it is next to impossible, if not impossible, to do any kind of creative design work, because right now that's all linked together. But I want to get in here and I want to change this inner piece. If we look at an image from a sunflower, you can see here the center of the sunflower is oh, I didn't want to do that. But you can see some symmetry there. And unlike our image here, just black with lots of dots now. And also this is going to be an earring. It's going to be about 1.2 inches at its widest. So that's going to be a very small centerpiece there. And I don't want it just to be a big black dot, even though it's got those little white, accents there. I want a little bit more going on than just that. So what am I going to do? I'm going to first put it back in line mode. And I want to separate everything, because right now if I try to select those circles, it's all linked together. So I'm going to break it apart. Has that got me yet? Yep. All right. So now I'm going to select all those circles, holding my shift key. All right, that looks like all of them, and I'm going to go bye-bye, delete. Nope, didn't get them all. And delete. All right, now I need to put a circle in here. Hold my shift key, and drag across there, and that's should come close to filling that up. I don't want to overlap anything, so hit my select tool. We're going to shrink her down a little bit and bring her back up. And still touching at the top there. Got to make her a little bit smaller. Okay, now, if we put all this, in fact, let's go out and see what that done to our image when we put it in fill. Okay. All right, now, for right now, let's group all this back together and move it off the tool bed. Actually, you know what? No, take that back. I was going to do a circular symmetrical pattern, but I'm not going to do that. Instead, let's do something different. Let's go back to line mode and break it all apart. I'm going to put this one right now, I'm going to put it on a different path, and I'm going to put it on fill. All right, now fill, you just said you didn't want a big black circle. No, I don't. But with that one circle on a fill mode, I'm going to change my line intervals and change my scan angles and create a pattern with that one layer. Let's see what this is set up as. All right. So I want to get rid of the crosshatch. I need to change my speed and my intervals because I don't need that 100% burn. And I keep a nice little library of materials that I'm going to be engraving with sample burn so I can get an idea of what I'm looking for. And I'm going to do on this, we're going to do 60% power and 40 millimeters a second. 40 and 60. All right. Now I'm going to come down here and I'm going to change my line interval. Let's start with a 2 millimeter line interval. That's 12 lines per inch. And I don't need 4 passes. You need to look at all of your settings on these because it's from a previous use. All right. Now, I'm going to tell it okay. I've noticed that on LightBurn, when you make a lot of changes to these layer settings, that if you don't save it before you start going in and creating additional sub layers, sometimes it don't all get saved and changed. So once I do that, I go back and look. But I got 40 at 60% power, 2 lines per or 2 millimeters, and 1 pass. All right, now over here, you all know this is where you'd hit plus to add a sub layer. But this one right here is the clone the current sub layer. Oh, you know what I didn't do? I didn't change my scan angle. Let's change this scan angle to 22 degree scan angle and tell it okay again, just because I want to make sure it's all right. Okay, now I want to clone this layer on another sub layer now. So these are identical. But what I want to do on my second layer is come down here and change that to a 44 degree scan angle. And now tell it okay. Go back and I look and just double check. There's 22 and 44 and everything else stayed the same. All right, now if we go in here and look at a preview, now here, because it's on a fill, that's all the computer knows to do is just to fill that circle. But when we go look at the actual preview, look there. That's what's going to actually engrave. And you know what I need to do? I don't like this open around here, so I'm going to create duplicate of that and have it on line mode just so I get a nice clean outline around that. So let's go away from this. I've got that circle already highlighted, so we're going to do offset 0. And that's going to create an exact duplicate, and that's going to be on align mode. Let's see if that doesn't do what we want it to do. Go to preview. No, what happened? All right. All right. So we're going to go a wee bit bigger. Let's delete that. And, oh, you know what? I need to put it on a different layer. Actually, offset. There we go. Now let's put this one on, right now let's put it on line 2 like the rest of them. And now we look at the preview. And there we go. That's what I was looking for. Now we've got a nice clean outline around it. We've got all of those little diamonds in there. And if you look, you see the diamond pattern. If we go back and look at that, I kind of see that each of those are kind of in a diamond shape. And then you've got the, I don't know if these are the stamen or whatever, but those come to a point. So I'm not that far off from true representation there. All right, so let's go back to LightBurn. We can get rid of that. Now, I like that. Now let's put here. You can select any one shape that's on that layer and come into edit and tell it to select all shapes in current cut layer. And that's going to grab all of those. We put it back on our engrave layer and just make sure everything still looks good. And I like that. Now here's another trick. If right now, if you by looking at this image, it looks like we're looking straight down on top of that flower. Now I want to change the perspective just a wee bit. I want to and very easily it's going to change our point of view looking at that flower. And so let's undo that, go back to our cut layer. Now if you look, when I select just that outer image there, that's what it is. It's a complete outline and offset of that whole flower. Now with that selected only, in fact, I'm going to put it back into the whole fill layer. Actually, you know what? I can do that just by changing this from line to fill. All right, so now you're going to be able to see all I'm selecting is just that outer piece. And this looks like we are looking directly over it. But if I hold my control button and my down arrow button, and I start moving that, see how the perspective starts changing? I like that. I like that. I like that a lot. So there we go. I like that. Now let's put it all back in line mode. Now what we need to do is I need to put a place to put all my earring hardware. So I'm going to offset this again and then I'm going to come up here and I'm going to draw an ellipse. Doesn't really matter about the shape or the size right now, or location I should say, but that looks like that's going to be strong enough. Now I'm going to zoom into that and then zoom out a wee bit, and I'm going to hold my shift key, and select my outermost offset layer and tell it to center. Wow, did that? I'm gonna move that just to see if that was even right. There, and center, okay? I had got lucky the first time. It was exactly centered. All right, now I'm gonna bring this down, holding my control button and my down arrow keys. I'm gonna bring it down until, all right, I need to elongate it a little bit, and I'm going to have to recenter everything. I'm trying to avoid these other pieces as much as possible and add as much as possible here. And control up just a wee. All right. Now, that is only in the middle of our outermost offset. We'll have this vacancy here, but select the outermost and select that shape, and I'm going to weld it. And then I'm going to select just that little piece. Well, got to ungroup it, make it single, select just that piece and delete it. Now I'm going to come to my art library, go to my earrings where I have this set up as a tool, add it to my graphics, and that is a 1.6 millimeter hole with an outline on it that I don't need at this point. Come on, there we go. All right, so if I go to millimeters and select just that inner, yeah, that's 1.6. So I'm gonna get rid of this. I don't need it in this instant. And now I'm going to select just that hole and my outermost, holding my shift and tell it to center. Man, how do I keep getting so lucky? All right, now I'm going to, don't need it that far down. Let's see what that looks like. All right, now I'm going to select my outermost and put it on a toolpath temporarily. And then I'm going to select everything that's currently on my layer 2. Select all shapes on current cut layer. I'm going to move it to layer 1. That's the engrave. And then I'm going to select that toolpath, put it back on layer 2. That's my cut path. And I need to select that little doggy and put it on layer 2. And that, boys and girls, that quickly is ready to go to the engraver. I like that. I think that's going to look good. Okay, so now it's just a matter of doing some cutting. So let's, actually, you know what? Let's check. I keep hitting the wrong button. There we go. Let's go to our cuts and layers. Now I know that this should be good. It's 40 and 60, 22 and 44 degrees, single pass with a 2 millimeter line interval. Now our engrave though, this is what I need to look at because this is only going to be a small little earring about 1.2 inches. So I don't need to be doing a whole lot of in-depth stuff. So 70 and 70, checking my palette. That's going to be pretty deep. And it's on a crosshatch, done, followed up by a line after fill. Actually, you know what? I feel good with those. I use this engrave. In fact, I've made these settings my default settings. I think I'm gonna try it, even though it is so small. I'm gonna give it a shot. One pass, one pass, one pass. Okay, and then my cut, 3 millimeters a second, 100% power, 3 passes. Yep. Actually, okay. I want to send that to the laser and see what we got. Okay, so first attempt, a couple of issues. I added my 1.6 millimeter hole for my earring hardware before I sized it down to the correct dimensions. So that ended up making my hole too small, so I've got to fix that. And while I like the idea of the diamonds, that 2 lines per millimeter are not enough given the size of my engraving here. So I'm going to change that LPI. I'm going to fix that size of the hole. And since I have my laser, once on job complete, laser goes and parks at 1010, X10, Y10, instead of bouncing around off of those rails for home. So hopefully I can make those adjustments. Since it's locked to the bed, that's in a fixed position, it's going to come right back. Hopefully with the new engraved LPI and the hole fit, these might be savable. But if not, hey, that's what we're doing. We're learning. All right, let's go make the changes and try again. Now, if we look at the preview when they're at scale, that looks exactly like what's on the laser bed. That is too large of an interval. So what I'm going to do to try and save these is I'm going to cut it down by 4. So these lines will be duplicated, but then there'll be, I guess, 3 additional lines added to it. So these will be still there and engraved again, but with addition to 3 more lines per millimeter. So, and then I've made this hole larger. And what I need to do, let's zoom in here to the whole thing. I need to select just my outer path because that's already cut. Let's put it on a tool path. Select this one, put it on a tool path because we don't want that to cut again. And we're going to turn off the output for the engrave. We need the output for the cut because we need to cut that hole again. And now let's go into this. I'm going to make this a 0.5. Did I get my point in there? 0.5. And make this one a 0.5. And now tell her OK. And now that looks a lot better. And I think that's going to give me what I want. So let's cross our fingers that the laser is going to go right back to where it came from and burn those, and these will be savable. If not, hey, it's 2 inches of wood. Live and learn. All right, so let's send this to the laser and see what we get. And that worked. And I love it when I have my happy little accidents. But that stayed right in place. The hole is big enough now. But now the center has got double texture going on, because you can still see the original larger triangles or diamonds. Focus, there we go. But you've also got those much smaller ones now too. So you've got more detail going on. And that's how you make images or little small projects like this really jump out and stand out, is all in the details. And I'm going straight up over now. See how the perspective is different? It looks like we're looking down from the top down instead of just straight overhead, with that image having the darker engrave at the bottom than it does at the top. Little details like that really make a difference. Okay guys, so this has turned out to be a little longer than some, not as long as some, but this is how I design, this is how I work. This has been in real time, not a lot of back and forth and editing taking place here other than just waiting for the laser. I'm going to show you several different finished pieces without the hardware. I've got them all lacquered up and wet and drying in my paint room. But these have turned out pretty nice. I have not reached monetization point on YouTube yet. It's coming soon, I hope. But I plan to have all these projects that I design available on my Etsy store, which I'll put a link to down in the comments. It's Creations by Hobo, I think. I'll have my earring designs. I've also got a purse. I thought I had a finished one here, but I'll put some pictures in the final edit. I'll put a picture right here of the purse. It's not actually a purse, it's more of a clutch. It's a lady's clutch, just large enough for cell phone, wallet, keys. It's really lightweight, and it's really pretty. I've sold several, or not several, but I've sold a few of those on Etsy and a few in person. So yeah, I've sold several of these. But if you would like to support me and my channel and enjoy watching the designs, maybe you go to Etsy store and buy one or two of the designs for the earrings instead of having to go in and create them yourself. But for me, that's part of the fun, is the creation, and those a few of those will be on my channel step by step on how I create them. But if you don't want to go through that, spend $1 or so and support me in the channel. So let's jump in here and to the paint room and take a look and see how these are turning out. Okay, so here's a couple different sizes and different finishes. This is just walnut with lacquer finish. This one has been painted yellow, then engraved. There's just a natural, I think that's either oak or birch, can't remember. And then the same thing again, just slightly larger. So different sizes. That one's 1 inch, that one's 0.8, and then 1.2, I think. Okay, so this has been Steve, Hobo with Wood. I really appreciate you watching. If you've enjoyed this video and you're still watching and you haven't subscribed yet, why not? Hit that subscribe button here. Nope. There. Yeah. Right there. Hit that subscribe button and let's get this monetization going so I can start buying some biscuits in the morning. All right? So, as usual, I really enjoyed this. I thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.